You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this. Today on Saturday Omaha, TJ and I are going to be talking about Sofra Kitchen, and you can find them at 220 South 31st Avenue in Omaha, Nebraska, with a good midtown crossing zip code of 68131. Some people in the Omaha area may remember the Sofra Creperie that was in the Inner Rail, but they moved out of there and now have their own full space in the Midtown Crossing area and an awesome little location. First of all, if you are in the Midtown Crossing section of Omaha, which is on Farnham Street, there are two different parking garages for which you can park for free. Just make sure that you bring the printed out ticket into Sofra Kitchen or whichever retailer you're going to and have them validate your parking, because then you can park in the parking garage at no cost to you, which is quite handy. I like free parking. But anyway, Sofra Kitchen is what we're talking about here. And they're open 7 days a week. They are open from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. as of this recording, although please check your social media is probably usually the most updated thing, or their website or Google hours, so you're making sure that you're there. But TJ has got takeout from here numerous times. Sofra Kitchen, a European-inspired bistro, I think would be the tagline, if you will. It's in the corner, kind of on the circle roundabout area in Midtown, but the interior, I love the interior of this place. You walk in and there is a host check-in counter where they will find you a seat, but there's kind of a bar dining area. You can see right back into the kitchen where they're preparing your food. They offer various coffee beverages, which is cool. I think I actually got an iced Americano to go one day there. And then off to the left is kind of dining area number one. And along the back wall, there's a full long food couch. And we often call a booth a food couch. This is quite literally a food couch because it runs
it's
the
a pretty
length.
darn couchy food couch. Yeah, it's
got throw pillows.
It's pretty much the full length of the wall. It's not leather or faux leather. It is genuine, nice, soft upholstery type deal. And directly behind it is a succulent garden, which I had a hard time believing those were real. I mean, they look like real plants, but I'm just eyeing them like, they're keeping a garden of succulents that size, all these, leaves and things. I figured that'd be they're not horribly hard to care for, but it's the whole darn length of the wall.
Right.
And I look back in there and there's tags of the type of plants they have planted and actual dirt. Sure enough, it feels pleasant to be sitting next to that little garden.
Yes.
By the window. In addition to that, in that main dining area, there is a sizable pendant light with kind of almost a not quite scalloped glass exterior
scalloped
type
potatoes.
of thing. But it's a large, ornate, pretty white light fixture that makes the room feel more open. It feels somewhat more upscale. It's a nice decorating element, and the whole place is this curious mix of everyday, upscale, and cozy like you're in someone's home, including the little hutch over in the corner with just, from your grandma's house with a plate and a couple of cups on it, or the frame is the word I'm looking for, a very large frame containing several pieces of art available for purchase.
And the art's really high up, which is kind of interesting. There's different.
Some is that I think the permanent restaurant art is higher up. There is also the wall of paintings for purchase directly across from the food couch.
I guess when you were saying there's the mix, what I wanted the listeners to kind of imagine and come with me here is that the kind of the coffee area, it feels a little lower, more cozy, more coffee shop. Then there's the center area that you're talking about with the succulent and the art there, and that has a very high ceiling, and the art is very high up in some spots. And then there's that back wall you're talking about. Adjacent to that is yet another area that looks like it would work very well for some private dining. There's some windows there. I know when I went in one time, there was a family there that had, little ones and things like that, and they can actually close that door off if they want to. I think it can be totally walled off. But each area has its own blended motif in that they connect with each other, but each little area is a little bit different. But every one of them is super approachable, comfy with the succulents, and like when we went in and the sun is shining in and things like that, it's just a nice space to be in, period. To that end, let's get into the very varied food within. We are going to start in the breakfast arena, though, because throughout our various eats for this restaurant, actually, TJ went out to lunch today with a good friend of ours, and he had kind of asked TJ's like, "Do you guys really eat all that stuff?" Yes, we do. And quite often we'll order a lot of things at one time. It is known as doing the thing because we want to try everything on the menu. But let us start then with breakfast. And TJ, I'm actually going to start with a very short description because it is something that I did not eat, but the voice of Saturday Omaha had as she and I had lunch the other day, and I had mentioned this in the intro, but that's the avocado toast. She was a fan of this. There are 4 half slices of toast there with a flat schmear of avocado on there with sesame seed and drizzled, looks like a little bit of oil on there. But what I like about the avocado toast here is it also comes with some of their oven roasted potatoes, which I had with another one of my dishes, bacon and eggs. So you got a nice breakfast meal there. It was beautifully presented with those 4 slices kind of in a fan. So that was kind of cool. But I think you and I both had a Benedict. Did you have more than one Benedict, TJ?
Yeah, I think I'm up to 3 now.
Oh my!
The regular eggs Benedict, the BLT Benedict, and the lox Benedict.
Oh my! I only had one of those. I had the BLT. Would you espouse on one of the other ones or the BLT, and we can talk about that, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I think they're from the basic. They are pretty much exactly what you would expect going forward. So I think the basic, regular, as you would expect, eggs Benedict, English muffin, poached eggs, ham, hollandaise.
No place like home for the hollandaise.
Indeed. And then those oven roasted potatoes, as you mentioned, briefly touching on those.
Yeah, the little potatoes your mother likes?
The little potatoes your mother likes.
Oh, okay.
Browned on one side. They looked maybe flat top finished or something like that to me, like a home fry would. Those kind of cubed potatoes, and frequently just a little bit more browning on one side gives them some character. I catch a faint hint of I feel like the chef, the cook, whoever's back there making them, picked up a bottle of red pepper flakes and held it in their hand while looking at the potatoes.
Just a little essence of heat?
Just the barest hint in the background that I catch every now and again, and then very clearly some little bits of thyme on there when you look closely. So they're very lightly herbed with, I think, some pepper and, of course, a little bit of salt on there. They are lightly herbed, and, of course, with a couple of spices on there, presumably salt and pepper, of course.
Sure.
And that hint of heat here and there. They have some character. They are a nice accompaniment to pretty much, I think they're on most of the breakfast foods here.
Yeah.
And they're a nice add-on. So I figured some in-depth coverage of that because they're going to go with 5 of the dishes that I've had here.
Yeah, the avocado toast, and then I believe my BLT Benedict came with them also. And you're right. And they say that they're oven roasted, so could just be browning for maybe a little bit of oil, maybe some olive oil in the oven. But I'm glad that you remarked on them because sometimes you get the home fries. Potatoes are just good anyway, but sometimes they're okay, or they're chewy, or you gotta work at them. These are an enjoyable, very well presented side of potatoes to go with your meal, and I think a person might look forward to having these with their meal versus there's some potatoes. I think these are better prepared there. There's some care put into these little spuds, I think.
Agreed. I don't want to showcase them as being phenomenal,
Right.
but they're a nice addition. The potatoes themselves, they look good. They're just
They
a little
do.
bit more browned on this side than that. They're a nice kind of rustic looking potato thing, and that with the potatoes, with
They
the
look
Benedicts,
real.
with pretty much everything. Sofra's plating is on point.
100%.
Things are it is very pretty food.
Yes, chef.
So the Benedict is no exception to that. The standout for me, I'm always looking for a good hollandaise sauce. I enjoy the sauce itself, but I'm fairly picky about which ones I genuinely like and which ones I do not.
Do you like a pronounced lemon hit in your hollandaise? Do you want to taste the lemony in there?
I like them with a little bit more acidity. I
Okay.
like the balance of richness and acidity, but I do tend to like it to sit more on the slightly thinner, more acidic side,
Ah, okay.
rather than the
Chicken gravy side?
the absolute other end of the spectrum
Okay.
is thick and kind of flat tasting. And,
Yeah.
and there's anywhere between and different variances between those not necessarily binary ends of the hollandaise spectrum.
Is a Benedict an elevated version of biscuits and gravy? Oh, let's
No, don't you just made half of the nation
I did.
very
There's
unhappy.
a whole bunch of
Elevated? Oh no.
I know.
No, a similar preparation,
I mean, English muffin
a-
and hollandaise.
an example
biscuits and cream
of
gravy.
an example of parallel thinking, perhaps.
Ooh. You get a split biscuit. You get a split English muffin. Now I just want sausage gravy on an English muffin and then hollandaise on a biscuit.
Getting back into the Benedict. So the hollandaise, this one is a little bit on the thicker side, but at once a touch fluffy. There's a good amount of air worked into it. So despite the fact that it is a richer hollandaise, a thicker hollandaise, it is
It's a good one.
also kind of light. It has that bit of tanginess in there that it should. Not so much that it is pronounced as. I think that the degree of lemon that I like in my hollandaise is probably in so much as one's taste in food can be wrong,
Okay.
is a little wrong.
Oh, in other words,
I think my personal preference running to that side is too far. It's not a good balanced hollandaise sauce. It is very much a personal preference, the way I tend to like mine, and I'm sure there
I
are
see.
other people that do. I think this is that hollandaise for all people's kind of hollandaise sauce. It has the characteristics that it is supposed to have. All of them. It has
none of the knobs are turned way up.
right. It has the balance. It has the
Okay.
thickness, the richness, the lightness, the slight acidity hit. It's a good balance of all of those things. The closest I can get to a criticism is if, for instance, one were to order 2 to 3 entrees like some kind of podcasting weirdo,
Who would do that?
radio show weirdo, then one should eat the Benedict first, not second or third, because being as on the thick side as this sauce is, when it starts to get cold, it doesn't hold up as well, whereas the thinner ones do survive that time a little bit more successfully, but they are not as thick and rich as they are when it comes out to you hot as intended.
As all three Benedicts that you had, because it's eggs Benedict, I thought the eggs were prepared very well. Tej, because a good egg is an important piece of this. So that would be my kind of main remark on my BLT Benedict here. The bacon bacon, I've had it on the burger as well. I thought all the components were tasty, well prepared, well presented. But how did you feel about the eggs across your 3 Benedicts?
And that was exactly the next point I wanted to get to, was the eggs. That I am, because of the breakfast thing as discussed, because I have had too darn many eggs in the space of like the last 10 or so years.
Especially scrambled for you, I'm betting.
I am very picky about eggs, more so than I have ever been, but I have always been picky about poached eggs because I love a really good poached egg. I get all excited when there's proper poached eggs potentially on offer. And then when I get a not good one, I get angry.
Oh, no.
And so these, I require at least kind of a nice, relatively soft but somewhat toothsome egg white.
Sure.
And a nice runny yolk.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you can set that egg white nicely while keeping the entire yolk runny, the happier I am, because I like that richness imparting itself to whatever the poached egg happens to be on.
Yes. Why don't I see more poached eggs on burgers? I kind of want that because, man, that would smash nicely. I should try that.
I think that's it, is it smashes.
Yeah, I totally want to do that, just so it's like a I don't know, you just wham it and then it's there.
Yeah, it's one for the entire burger, but until it has been compressed, it's a big lump in the middle of your bun.
I know. This is going to require some R&D.
Yeah, but I think my preference for burgers is still the over easy, mostly soft yolk egg. So
that's fair.
Sits over the entirety of the burger, and then you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like it's almost like a toad in a hole. I hollow out part of the bun and put it anyway. This is an R&D conversation. We need back on track. Sorry that I moved us off the rails. One thing I will get out to the listeners though is something that I have learned. If you're trying to do poached eggs at home, put a little vinegar in your boiling water, but swirl your water a lot and then put the egg in, and that will help you with your poached egg. So that the water is moving in a vortex when you put the egg in there.
As I was going to say, before I hit the stupid music stand that I tend to put my show notes on.
Yep, it's right there. I see it.
And that explains why there was an interruption before I got to the general shape of the egg, because I didn't completely describe the one we have. I told you the characteristics I'm looking for.
Yes.
But you could see slight lines in the egg white where the swirling had occurred to keep it in a nice, relatively tight form factor.
Almost a sphere as far as eggs go.
Kind of, sort of, but with the swirls, presumably from the swirling of the hot water it was placed in.
On the egg?
Yeah, it gives it a really nice shape. Again, presentation. I've had some very nice poached eggs that fulfill the requirements, but this one, it is the best poached egg I can remember.
Okay, that's an honest move there.
Relatively neutrally flavored, at once soft and kind of toothsome, and fully cooked egg white with a perfectly runny yolk in the center. Yes. Eggs in general can kind of have a little bit of a sulfury component to them. They have those compounds. It's one of the things that makes them good, and I think some of the healthy elements actually. But it can be slightly off-putting. Didn't notice any of that in this. It just the right balance of flavor, and with that nice balanced hollandaise sauce and a little bit of ham, not too shaved nice and thin.
The mutton is nice and lean.
All of that put together on that English muffin, texturally, visually, a wonderful thing. And that is about where breakfast should be. It's not a ton of food. It is a pleasant sensory experience, and enough to make you not hungry, not necessarily super full. If I was actually starting my day in the morning, which occasionally I have with Sofra Kitchen, that would be, it's a great way to begin without weighing you down too much. And it is a good experience to be had rather than a whole heck of a lot of calories.
Excellent. So we really got the core components there, the eggs, the hollandaise. That's probably the hardest things to make sure that they are correct. I kind of commented on the BLT ingredients. We have a lot to go through on our list today, so just super quick for the lox or the standard. We talked about the ham on the standard. Anything else you want to weigh into before we move on to the next thing? Because there are many we got to go through today.
No, because we will talk about the lox benedict briefly in the context of another thing.
Okay, cool. I'm going to move on to my last breakfast item, which happens to be the French toast. The French toast is served with lots of fruit, really good fruit. And this was something that for breakfast, sometimes you get like kind of just a boring little side of fruit. I think the fruit was a dominant element on this plate with the French toast, which I really liked. Again, the presentation is wonderful here on everything. So we won't dwell on that too much because it's consistent. It's really good. Not a super thick French toast. I would say a straightforward French toast. If you're ordering French toast, that is what you are getting. I believe 2 or 3 pieces on this plate, more of that thinner slice, delicious, and lots of good fresh fruit. I won't stay on the French toast long because it is what it is. The French toast. TJ, did you get any additional breakfast items, or should we move on to more meaty subjects?
I could swear I've gotten a pancake as a side at some point, as an extra.
Yeah.
But if I have, it wasn't hugely memorable. I did at last get around to ordering the waffle. That said, that is part of an experience that as a holistic thing. We will speak of that particular eat-in experience. That is the one, not sour note exactly, but there was a minor incorrect thing because it's supposed to have that house-made strawberry jam on there. It did not. However, you mentioned the fruit on your French toast.
Yes.
Did you get the ring of fruit on that?
Yeah, the fruit was not on top of the French toast. It was all around it on the plate, which I really liked because I wanted my French toast to taste like French toast, not French toast with fruit, and it did, which I liked a lot.
So that was what I got here with the waffle. Instead of the strawberry jam, it was served with syrup and then surrounded in that ring of alternating slices of individual pieces of fruit, which is a wonderful way to get your mixed fruit.
Yes.
The flavors are just separate enough. They're close enough to each other that they meld a little bit.
Yep.
And again, really pretty plating. As for the waffle itself, a little bit of a surprise, not the more airy, crispy Belgian waffle that you would usually expect. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in, and you did reference a Dutch baby somewhat in jest earlier in this episode. For those who like a Dutch baby, this might be a little bit more in the ballpark. It actually reminds me of my very first attempt many years ago to make a Belgian waffle at home. The best waffles I had in memory at the time were a friend's mother who made them in her big high heat proper cast iron waffle iron from scratch. And then I found out her recipe was just the one in the Betty Crocker cookbook. At the time, not knowing that those orange Betty Crocker cookbooks that everyone's mom has, and I actually inherited from mine, vary considerably from year to year. So mine came out a little bit different. But this, like that, is a very egg-heavy kind of waffle.
Get your protein in there.
A little bit more dense feeling, definitely more moist, not unpleasantly so. I was searching for that airy, crisp Belgian waffle, but it is a nice, almost custardy, almost crepey.
That sounds great.
Like it's a dense crumb and kind of on the rich side. So you would need to know that going in. I do want to try it with that house-made strawberry jam and see how that plays out.
I want this now.
Yeah, I would debate whether or not the syrup or the jam would be the choice. Not my primary, my top type of waffle.
Okay.
But I would consider trying it with a few different accoutrements.
Yeah.
And seeing how that comes out. It was good. Just to kind of be aware of what you're getting there.
Did you try any of the appetizers, TJ, that are listed on the menu? Because if you didn't, I did. and I would tell you about them.
No, Dave, I have not. I have repeatedly thought about. I've had the spaghetti and meatballs, so the meatballs, I feel like I kind of know what I'm getting into there.
Sure.
That fried cheese thing sounds good, and I think about it every time I'm in there.
Well, that may have to be something we explore on yet another visit, considering we've been there a bunch. But I did get one of the appetizers, and while you have explored the meatballs, the appetizers are a little different because they're cheese-stuffed meatballs. And the cheese-stuffed meatballs are a great appetizer to share. You get quite a few of them, I think right around 6 or so. And they are a smaller, looser meatball, which does kind of dovetail into the meatballs I think that I had on my spaghetti and meatball dish. But they are stuffed with cheese. And I actually paired these, I think I had these on my very first eat-in visit with a risotto, which we'll get to in a second. And I thought in my heart of hearts that I was going to try to craft a lightweight lunch for myself, and totally didn't, because I ordered a very cheesy risotto and then meatball stuffed with cheese. All things were good. I think these little guys are great to share. Lots of cheese, just melty everywhere. Kind of that loose pack of cheese in there. And a good sear, a good Maillard on the outside, good coloring on these meatballs. And I think this is the low-carb cheeseburger lover's paradise order. If you want to order a burger without the bun and you just want some meat and cheese and you want to enjoy yourself, these little guys are really tasty, and they're kind of a fun, different appetizer. I'm sure there's other restaurants, of course, that would serve some meatballs as an appetizer. Well, I'm sure Meatball over in the Blackstone district or out west would probably serve you all the meatballs you want. But I think this is a fun appetizer, certainly a shareable, or if you wanted to have this just yourself as an entree, I think it would work very well. So definitely would recommend the cheese stuffed meatballs. Shall we travel to other things with cheese, like risotto, TJ?
One of the highlights. Yes, by all means, let us do so. I believe we have both had the mushroom. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was the only risotto that I had with this foray into Sofra. Yes. And it sounds like you've had a couple of different risottos, true?
Yeah, I've done the mushroom as I recall.
Uh-huh.
The chicken pesto was one of the others. I think I've had one more, but it's not sticking in my head right now. I've kind of been through this menu
a lot.
For me, the mushroom sticks out pretty strongly.
Let's just lead with this. It's really good. So you get a large portion of risotto, plenty of mushroom, plenty of parm. It's got that good arboreal rice, very creamy and good texture. And I ate about half of this and had to I stopped myself. I could have easily just put a hurtin' on this thing. Now, the mushroom risotto, as ordered, is a single entree by itself. That's everything that it comes with. The protein involved in there is cheese. There isn't I'm not sure if you can add chicken. I'm not sure that I'd want to. But
I think changing it almost in any way would throw off the balance pretty badly.
I agree. This is just delicious. I mean, I'm a sucker for a good risotto or rice dish anyway, but this was just really, really good. Really hot, freshly prepared, and just laden with cheesy, tasty, risotto-y goodness. If you're a lighter-ish lunch, party of two, you could probably split the mushroom risotto and the meatball appetizer.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd be sitting real good for the day. So real quick, I had a hard time. I saw the pesto. You said it was a chicken pesto risotto?
Yeah, chicken pesto risotto.
Just high level, how was that? Because the mushroom risotto is so savory that I was kind of concerned for my own. This is just my own palate. This is just Dave talking here. That and I like a good pesto, but I was worried it would kind of pull me out of the intense savoriness that the mushroom risotto has. Do you recall how the chicken pesto risotto was?
It's wonderful. It's rich. It's savory. The pesto risotto component of it,
yeah,
is apples to oranges, it's different.
Okay.
But has the satisfaction level for many of the same reasons as the
Okay.
mushroom risotto. I will say there does have to be a little something in there to break it up, so it's not just a single homogeneous thing.
Okay.
However, the chicken was the downside there. And
Really?
I think cubes thereof, I want to say probably breast tenders, cooked properly, still fairly moist, not in any way overcooked, but just the chicken itself, maybe if it was thinly, not super thin, but sliced, and short slices, that's the word I'm looking for, is not full length breast slices or something like that.
Sure.
Fairly short slices, so they come apart easily as you're going through and don't distract.
Oh, so more of a textural distraction.
Yes.
Okay.
The modern hen, when you're making your chicken, is more of a vehicle for other flavors than it has flavor of its own. So you have this wonderful, flavorful pesto risotto with all that richness, and then you get a hit of chicken breast, and you can season it, you can marinate it, you can do whatever with it. But compared to the flavor penetration of rice and herbs and seasoning and cheesening, it's not going to be the same. And it's a nice enough contrast, but it's almost too much of it. That said, it was still good. It was still fairly moist as a chicken breast cube can be.
Yeah.
Well prepared and very tasty. I would still order it again, but am I as happy with it as the mushroom risotto? No. For your first foray into an alliance with the Sofra, I would say that the mushroom risotto should be
The go-to.
your choice in that category.
Perfect. All right. Briefly, too, speaking of greens and things like that, because we definitely have talked about the risotto is a really heavy dish, and we're going to get into some other dishes here. But I don't want to say it's a heavy dish. It's delicious and super satisfying, but
It's quite rich.
it kind of is. I did get a Greek salad because I went in and I got a burger, but I really wanted some green veggies. The Greek salad on the menu runs about $13, and I would say it's simple and perfect for what I wanted. It's $13 and it's big. In fact, right when it came out to the table, I asked for a to-go box, and I put half of it in the to-go box and ate the other half with my meal. A little bit of feta on there, a mild oil and vinegar. You might need to ask for a little bit of additional oil and vinegar depending on your personal taste. It is definitely shareable. So much like the risotto or the meatballs, you could do the meatballs, the risotto, and this salad and split those three things and have quite a filling meal, actually. But the salad actually traveled home, and the folks at the house had the rest of it, and it was still really good too. I just mention it so that if you're looking for some leafy greens / some veggies to go with maybe a heavier item, this is a good shareable thing to kind of break it up. Definitely a straightforward salad. There isn't anything super complex here. It's brightly colored. It's brightly I was going to say brightly flavored, but I suppose the tomatoes might fit in there. Freshly flavored is what I'm going to go for, and a good move if you need a salad. And I'm glad that they had it on the menu because it really fit the bill for exactly what I wanted. How about some burgers, TJ? This is one of the reasons why you're like, hey, Dave, we need to go to Sofra Kitchen and eat some burgers.
Yeah, because now, mind you, as winter is setting in here as we're recording this episode.
Yes.
And my last few orders of burgers, I've had them kind of rush delivered so they don't sit out for too long.
Yeah.
Because the cold definitely takes quite a bit off of them when
Sure.
they cool down. However, up through early fall, when I've been ordering these things as a delivery item just so I can do stuff at home, but also have real food when I want it at 8 in the flippin' morning, I will frequently order these burgers. That was my introduction to the Sofra, was ordering a burger because I wanted a decent burger in the morning, and I knew nothing of the place, and picked up, I think I've gone down the
Have you had them all?
I think I've had them all.
I've had two and a half because I had a bite of your truffle burger, and then I had the barbecue burger and also the Swiss mushroom. So there's like the classic, I think, is the other one. I think that's all four because there's like four of them on the menu, right? So
Right. The Sofra burger is
There you go.
their classic.
Yeah, so we kind of covered
But
the gamut.
even under those circumstances, again, now that's getting a little colder, this is less true. However, I ordered me a burger that was going to be, picked up and taken in a car for several minutes from the restaurant. And it was still hot, fresh, and tasty when it got to me.
Whoa.
Like fairly satisfying. And with a nicely sized side of fries.
Big side of fries.
That's a fun. I'm going to start using that phrase in its entirety for my new Saturday tongue twister on more episodes. A
Available at
nicely
children's
sized
bookstores
side
everywhere.
of fries,
yes.
selling seashells by the seashore. But yeah, good sized thing of kind of natural cut fries.
Yes.
We order multiple entrees frequently on Saturday because we're trying to get a good cross section.
True.
But generally, if I am not watching what I eat, it's two entrees, especially in a takeout situation like this. I order, two things and eat all of one thing and most of another. But in the case of this, I order the burger. It comes with fries.
Yes.
It's one thing for about what are we at? Yeah,
15-ish?
about 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the exact average here because I'm looking at 14.5 to 15.5.
That's most entrees, honestly, across the board for the menu are about 15.
Yeah, a lot of 13s and 14s in there.
Yep. If you bring
$15 for one thing, and I am full. That is the meal.
Yeah.
I am happy. There is plenty of it. Golly, it was tasty. And now coming to finally eating in.
Yes.
And this was why I called Dave, I believe, from the restaurant, my first foray there, and said, hey, we should do Sofra.
We should get it. Yes. Yeah, you did. I think I was in my car about to travel to lunch and you're like, hey, next time around, we need to do this. Yeah.
There are better burgers. There are worse burgers. This is a pretty darn good burger.
It's a solid burger.
But holy smokes, hot, fresh, and juicy to the point where...
Whoa. Get your napkins ready.
If there's anyone out there who's had to install electronics in an outdoor bathroom or kitchen setting where you have to worry about like where the wire goes so you get like a drip loop in there, that's what you have to do with your arm positioning here.
So it doesn't
Because if you're not careful, the burger is so juicy, your first couple of bites may very well wind up going all the way down your shirt sleeve to your elbow. This is a serious business burger, and everything I've had. Granted, if I were to come in, I frequently come in when they're not very busy, like first thing or early afternoon.
Yeah, pro tip,
or
if you-
on a weekday.
pretty quiet in the early morning.
Yeah. So when they're absolutely getting slammed by a million customers, this may not be as true, but holy smokes, everything I've had is nuclear hot and fresh, like
Yes.
as hot and fresh as you can get.
Yes.
The burger was no exception, and it might be almost it might be hyperbole.
Oh,
It might be
seasoning is
be
hyperbole.
being a little internally pretentious, if that's a thing that's possible to do.
Oh,
But after 2 bites of that truffle burger on my first foray, because the truffle's what I order takeout all the time.
yeah.
After about 2 bites of that, I literally thought the phrase transcendent burger.
Oh my! Wow.
I don't know if one should call a burger transcendent, but yeah, that was impressive because it had all those flavors that I wanted, but just so hot, fresh, and juicy.
Yes.
Just a gosh golly gee darn good burger. The patty sizes are excellent.
Yes.
I think for the 2 smash patties, you're in the neighborhood of like a 1.5 patty burger, which the way they're balancing out the ingredients is perfect. this is an excellent burger. I don't know if
Yes.
I'm going to go as far as like best burger I've ever had, but it's just really good. They nail it. They get it right.
It is remarkable in that, like you said, we're not ranking top 10 burgers here or anything like that, but this is really good. And having had it now 3 times, because I had a bite of, I think you ordered the truffle when you and I had lunch. I went back and had a different burger. The last one I had was the Swiss mushroom, and consistently every time, super hot, juicy. I like the double smash. Like you said, they pull it off perfectly here. A good amount of cheese on there if you get the burgers with cheese. And, they've got 4 burgers. They're very similar. It's the topping loadouts are slightly different. I will tell you that with like the Swiss mushroom and things like that, the cheese and mushroom and things sort of, maybe it's just because the burger itself is so hot and so juicy, it sort of melds itself together in one burger bite for me. I don't get individual ingredients. I'm not like all of a sudden I've got a mushroom.
You can focus on the notes as you would in a single thing with, different spices and stuff in it, where you can train your brain to focus on how much time is there in this soup or whatever. But yeah, it feels very cohesive, and I think that's true of pretty much all of them.
It's a melded bite, because so like the barbecue burger has both Swiss and American and bacon, but it's like the cheese. I'm not like, oh, I've got a really pronounced cheese. It's just like I've got this moist and delicious bite, very nicely seasoned, and with the Swiss, kind of the same thing. I mean, honestly, the 2 burgers, the Swiss and the barbecue, my barbecue sauce memory may be failing me a little bit. I don't recall it being a very pronounced barbecue sauce. I'm just going to tell you that both of the burgers that I had enough melty cheese, hot, fresh, juicy, and delicious. A great selection here. I would say that sometimes when you go to a restaurant and you're unsure of what to pick and there's a burger on the menu, sometimes it pays off greatly. Other times you're settling for, that's the burger. This is a great choice if you're looking to go to Sofra Kitchen. I really like the burger. I think the truffle is your favorite though, Teach, right?
Yeah, they overall, to your point on what to order, their breakfast offerings are very nice for my money, and again, biased against breakfast a little bit, but they're heavy hitters to a lesser extent, the Benedict, but the burger and the risotto, those are some powerhouse menu items. And
100%.
Yes, my absolute favorite is the truffle. Even if you're thinking of like the Swiss mushroom, the truffle pretty much has all of those characteristics with that extra bit of truffle goodness. I think that is your first foray should probably be either the mushroom risotto or the truffle burger. I flippin' love that thing.
Yeah. What's great is I know you've kind of nailed it, because I have visual memory queuing up right now, thinking of the risotto and thinking of the burger. And so, those are good recommendations. And then the other thing that pops right into my brain is that meatball appetizer. But I think the burger and the risotto are just slamming. So we also got some pasta. My take on the spaghetti and meatballs, I think where your preferences and mine may differ, maybe where I enjoyed this maybe more than you did. I like the fact that I got 5 or 6. The listing on the menu says spaghetti and meatball. And I wondered, because I didn't have it. This is my first foray into ordering it for myself. I think I got to see your plate. But I was wondering if I was going to get spaghetti and 1 large meatball, because it's not plural on the menu. But I was pleasantly surprised. I guess 1 large meatball would have been good too, and probably more your type of meatball. But in this case, I'm going to say there's 6, maybe even 8 little meatballs, and you kind of nailed it in that minimally processed. This is literally a small sphere, or boy, rustic is even probably, that word is so overused. It is not a perfect sphere.
It's kind of
beef.
a rough sphere.
Yeah, it's like where I like this is like Chef, I feel, has ground beef next to them and grabs a pinch of it. Yes.
You somewhat stole my thunder there, because I was just going to attempt to coin the phrase /word meat pinch.
Oh, Yes.
It's a meat pinch.
I would agree.
Like the chef was thinking, do not overhandle the meatball.
Yes.
Because that is a surefire way to ruin the meatball.
Yes.
So it was as quick as possible. Meat mix, pinch into the sauce.
Yeah, 100%. I would say scantily seasoned. There's not basil in here. There's not any. I don't think there's any herbs. If there is, very very mildly. And I would say the meatballs themselves have very little salt. So when you mix that with the sauce or those, you kind of get a heavier salted sauce, possibly because of the extreme level of Parmesan that is on here. TJ, earlier when we were talking about the risotto, mentioned that
I felt it was more of a dusting.
oh, mine was like coated. I got quite a bit. We could go to the photographic evidence and we can talk about this, but I felt that there was quite a bit on there. And so that not as salty meatball with a saltier sauce. Now, granted, I'm the salt guy. I love salt. It's true. But I think the balance of the not as salty meatball with a saltier sauce was possibly a move for a cohesive bite. The noodles themselves, a dried pasta, I do believe, cooked nicely al dente, and I literally cleaned my plate. I will tell you, the sauce, kind of TJ, as you alluded to, is not tomato forward. I would say that the Parmesan that's in there or the other ingredients are even with or superseding almost the tomato element of the sauce. It is not a strongly tomato forward sauce. That said, I enjoyed this. I liked the tiny handmade meatballs. I scraped the bowl. Again, like TJ said, the presentation on this is excellent. But I would say, though, that unless you are seeking the plate of spaghetti and meatballs is like, that is the thing I officially want for my first Sofra foray, I would definitely say, as we have said a couple of times now, that a burger or the mushroom risotto are the best entry-level dishes if you would like the Saturday Omaha GPS guidance through the menu.
Yeah.
TJ, was there anything else that you had that we need to espouse to these microphones for the people?
Two I'm going to touch on briefly. One is the lox benedict. The other one is the shrimp penne.
Oh, hello.
The shrimp penne I had to try because it comes in a rosé sauce, and I was curious as to how that would go.
Yeah.
And I definitely do get some of the rosé notes around the edges. I'm going to make this a warm personal story type thing and gloss over it quickly all at the same time. Our dear mother used to make a seafood bisque of which she was fairly proud, and I like seafood more than you do.
You do.
But not that much.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not a big seafood guy. I liked her seafood bisque. I thought it was lovely. This had a lot of tones of that. Somewhat creamy. Definitely a thicker sauce, a slight pink hue to it, blended nicely. A lot of
a slightly rose tint to it, as you're saying.
yes. That rosé flavor is hard to describe. Somewhere in the neighborhood of white wine, but it really does pair nicely with the shrimp. Just rich enough. If you were looking for a seafood thing, it is a warm, pleasant, comfort food type dish with just enough brightness, overtones to it. I think one of the better potential seafood base, because there's a couple of shrimp things
Love
I
that
do
seafood
believe
base
happening here. I legitimately enjoyed every bite of it. I did not finish said seafood bisque. I said seafood bisque. See, there. I'm very strongly associating the two. I did not finish the shrimp penne because it was with 3 full other entrees. Come to think of it,
The voice of Saturday Omaha loves shrimp. So if you love shrimp, it sounds like this would be a really solid contender.
I think a solid contender, yes. And the other one being the lox benedict. I ordered the lox benedict, and which I was not at all in the mood for a fishy tasting item at all.
Why'd you order it?
And lox being, the smoked salmon flavor.
Yeah.
It's breakfast sushi, basically. And was nowhere near in the mood for that, but it was one of the few things I haven't tried.
Oh, you were doing a public service, is
Right,
what you're doing. Okay.
trying to get down through the rest of the menu, trying to try things I had not yet done.
Gotcha.
So I ordered 2 things I didn't like. Well, okay, 2 things with items on them I generally...
lower like potential?
Yeah. Lox I will be in the mood for on occasion, but just wasn't this morning.
Sure.
And...
it was still good.
No matter how much I like non-breakfast things at breakfast times.
Yeah.
Sushi, which Lox effectively kind of sort of is definitely low on my list of breakfast time foods. That said, same as the shrimp penne, a dish I didn't really want that particular thing. And it was just so darn well prepared that I was aware of how good it was. For something I didn't want, it was delicious, and I ate the whole thing.
Perfect. Well, in summary, as we have covered many ranging dishes here at Sofra, there's a lot to be had here. The risotto, the burger, we've said it. Try it, please. They're delicious. However, there's so many different options. They're open 7:30 in the morning currently to 2:30 in the afternoon. So you need to go. Don't go here for dinner. You'll be disappointed because the doors will be locked. But the neat part is if you go in and somebody wants breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, all available during their breakfast, lunch, brunch time frame. So the full menu always available. Staff is great. I've said hello to the kitchen several times walking out there. Happy to wave at you. Like TJ said, there's care being placed into the food, on your plate, in the presentation. The environment is reflective of that as well. You're going to sit down. You're going to be comfortable in an enjoyable place. And then you're going to get a plate of hot and fresh, or cold and fresh, depending on which order, food. And it's going to be presented well. And I think you're just going to have a really nice time. And I think that's where Sofra Kitchen is at in Midtown, and I think you will enjoy it in Omaha, Nebraska, located at 220 South 31st Avenue. TJ, anything you would like to add before we sign it off on this episode?
Yes, Dave, I do have something to add. However, since we are somewhat pressed for time on this episode with what we have,
Yes.
and you summed up everything perfectly,
Yes.
I suspect we're going to cut it off right here.
Yes.
And then we'll say our names and greet people goodbye. But in case we don't do that and we can shoehorn this somewhere into the episode, one story very quickly. Again, the waitstaff is very pleasant, very welcoming, a very nice, good experience overall. I did go in that last time when I ordered 3 full entrees.
Whoa.
And it was clear I was sampling the menu. You have that straight shot to the kitchen.
You do?
I could see that the chef was like he was waiting till I was just about to finish with one entree.
Oh.
And then he'd quick finish plate the next one. So everything came out beautiful and exactly the right temperature at
Nice.
exactly the right time to make my experience seamless and wonderful and everything just about perfect. Like there was very real care and awareness of customer preference and experience taking place here.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you weighed in with that. And with that, then, I'll say I'm Dave.
I'm TJ.
And we are Saturday Omaha. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. Share with somebody. Food's great to share, so maybe share us too. And as we say, until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye. Our show is recorded and produced by Saturday Omaha. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as email SaturdayOmaha@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and stay hungry.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.